You're watching GAB with Alisa. Hi, I'm Alisa Casas. Thanks so much for joining me. Did you ever meet somebody and know within a split second that that person was really unique and really special? I have. And coming up in just a moment, we're going to meet one of those people. You'll know her from MetroCast Channel 10, Be Your Best, Dawn Campbell. I'm going to tell you the story of how we met and who she is. She's just one of those people that make our community so much better. So grab a cup of tea and sit back and join us here in just a moment as we do GAB with Alisa profiles, Dawn Campbell. We'll be back in just a moment.
Being your best is all about how you feel inside and out. If you feel good, you look good. Hi, I'm Dawn Campbell. Join me on MetroCast Channel 10 for Be Your Best. I'll show you creative ways to dress for success, give you quick health and fitness tips, and daily ideas for living the life you were meant to live. Be Your Best airs weekdays exclusively on MetroCast Channel 10 and is brought to you by Fitz Auto Mall.
Hi, this is James Lepore. Do you know what St. Mary's County is buzzing about? If you don't, then tune into MetroCast Channel 10 to find out. The Buzz is a weekly entertainment program featuring artists, performers, and entertainers from the area. Find out where the hot spots for entertainment are this weekend. We've got the scoop on all the fun each week on The Buzz. The Buzz is brought to you on MetroCast Channel 10 by Birch Propane. Efficient, environmentally friendly propane. Call for details, 301-373-2131.
Hi, I'm Alisa Casas. Thanks for joining me on GAB with Alisa Profiles as we take a look at some of the people in our community who do things that are just amazing. You'll recognize this beautiful face if you're a regular viewer of MetroCast Channel 10, Dawn Campbell from Be Your Best. Dawn, it's nice to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me here.
I am really excited to talk to you and to really let our viewers get to know you a little bit better. 6 or 7 years ago, I met Dawn Campbell when she came into MetroCast to talk about jewelry and about women's body images and things like that. And at that moment I thought, wow, this woman is somebody special and somebody unique. And over the course of the last several years, I've gotten to know Dawn even better and have decided that this is a really good opportunity to share with our community who you are. Everybody knows that weekly you do the show called Be Your Best, where you help women, you help men, you help people in general to be their best, because if you look good, you feel good. Everybody knows that. But let's get to know you, Dawn Campbell, a little bit. First of all, let's back up. You technically are, as they say, a county girl.
I am. I came here when I was 6 years old. My father was in the military. My mother is a native of the Philippines. And when he was in the military, stationed there, they met. So long story short, by the time I was 5, just before my 6th birthday, I came here with my family. I've been here ever since. So I've gone to school here, elementary, middle school, high school, and even community college. No, let me start over. Charles County Community College.
Oh, that was a minute ago.
Yeah, it was a little while ago. I think I just dated myself, but yeah, it was a little while ago before CSM.
Okay, now you married a man from this community. You've raised your girls here.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So my husband's family was also military, and they were back and forth. He was stationed here. His father was stationed here a few times, and we actually went to the same high school, which is a funny little story. But yeah, so our daughters were both born at Leonardtown, St. Mary's Hospital in Leonardtown. Aww. So yeah, we've chosen to settle down here and stay here. It's home, so we love it here.
Oh, that's great. Well, having decided that this is home, you've decided to make your home an amazing place to be and to live. You have been doing things in the community for so long that have to deal with women's bodies and images and how you dress and how you take care of yourself and along those lines. And you have a really amazing story. I'd like to back up just a little bit and ask you, how did you get started with being able to know how to tell people to dress and say, hey, your body is shaped this way or this way, and this is what will help you look good? Because there is an inherent confidence that if you look in the mirror and you say, hey, I look good for where I'm headed, let's go. So how did you learn how to do that, and what do you tell people that come to you about that?
Well, it started a really long time ago. You know, growing up, my mother was always very conservative, so she always made sure that I was dressed appropriately. And then leaving home at a young age to kind of strike out on my own, you know, sometimes we don't always take all those habits with us. So getting into the corporate world at 19, 20 years of age and thinking I knew what was the right thing to wear in a very corporate, conservative place to work. It was a very high-level finance industry that I was in. So men were always in suit and ties. Women were always in suits as well. And thinking that I knew what I was doing, wearing some clothes that were not really appropriate, that I think were probably at the time, now that I think back, more appropriate for having gone out for an evening girls' night out instead of wearing into a conservative setting. A very nice lady named Frances, who I wish I could find her and tell her thank you, would occasionally make little comments about, but nicely, of course. You know, if I was wearing a shirt that might not have been quite appropriate, it was a little low cut, she would reach over and say, you might want to pin that, and would give me a safety pin, you know, or if I did start, I started sort of emulating her as far as, okay, well, she's successful. I want to look like that. I want to look successful as well. I want to be taken seriously. So I started sort of emulating the type of clothing that she was wearing. And then the comments started coming. You look really nice today. And it wasn't until many years later that I realized, I don't know if she was doing it intentionally, but she was my first mentor, really. She was the one that sort of gave me a little guidance on where that's supposed to go. So fast forwarding many years and being in the corporate setting, being a part of various different groups where I was responsible for helping to hire a new person, and seeing young women and young men come into the workplace dressed not exactly ready for a job interview or what would be considered appropriate for a job interview, and realizing that this needed to happen. So I started doing a lot of research, seminars that are online, looking at books. I have a whole library on image and professional dressing etiquette, and I just poured over these books, and then finally just decided I wanted to create a little program.
You know, as you're telling that story, I'm thinking to myself, a few small, kind gestures from a woman who is the vice president of this company, as opposed to because we all have seen that, we might even all have been there at some point in time. The vice president of the company saw something inside of you and said, you know, she's going to go somewhere, but decided that instead of tearing you down because you were dressed inappropriately for the work environment, you looked pretty, granted, but for the work environment, she said, I'm going to help you here and there without hurting your feelings or embarrassing you or anything like that, because the reality is we are a progressive nation and we have moved forward and everything is not as tight, what have you, as we used to be, but still there are environments that there is appropriate dress. And having a woman do that for you, I think that you carried something away from that, because I've seen some of the seminars that you do, you carried something from that. Not only you want to show people how to dress, but you have a very similar style, a way of saying, hey, you know what, that's a really good feature. Let's play up this feature and do it appropriately. And I just think that that's wonderful. And this was What About You that inspired me to want to have you on this program, to profile you because of the way that you do take care of people. Before we get too much further, I know that you're very family oriented. You left in kind of a rough spot when you were 18 and struck out on your own, but you've since mended all of those relationships. And we're going to talk about your mom and your dad throughout the course of the program. But you told me a story one time about something your dad said to you. It's kind of hard to tell on television, but if you've ever stood next to Dawn Campbell, you're a very petite and dainty person. How tall are you?
I'm 4'10".
4'10".
Without heels.
With heels, she's 6'3".
I like to think I am sometimes, I think.
Your dad said something to you about your stature when you were little, and it really just kind of lit a fire inside of you.
It did. It's always stuck with me, and it's something he taught me, taught my sister as well, that because I was always so much smaller than everyone else. And my dad was as well. He was one of the smaller guys, you know. Okay. And he always said to me from a very young age, it doesn't matter how tall you are, you are smaller than the rest of your friends, and you might get picked on. Don't you ever let anyone pick on you, and don't let anyone tell you you can't do something, from a very early age. And that, I think, has stuck with me and really kind of molded who I am. Because I think, you can ask my husband, he'll tell you there's not a whole lot that I don't do if I want to do it.
And we might mention that your husband's a Marine,
yes,
right?
He's
a very large kind of guy.
Yes, he's a big guy.
Okay.
So even when, sometimes I get the frown on, I'm going to go do this.
He knows better.
He knows it's going to happen.
Well, that attitude, that approach to life, steel with a smile, that's what's gotten you where you are today. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to explore some of the things that have happened along the course of your life that have really brought you to a place where you are taking care of our community. I want to talk about some of your image programs for young girls in our community, because I really feel an obligation as women of the age we are to the next generation to say, come on, girls, we can do this together. So we'll do that when we come back. We'll be back in just a moment. I'm Alisa Costas, and you're watching GAB with Alisa, Profiles, Dawn Campbell.
Leonardtown, a most convenient place for shopping, dining, or even just wandering.
Leonardtown, a most entertaining place for things to do, sights to see, and fun for everyone.
Leonardtown, a most relaxing place for a quick visit, a lazy afternoon, or a long weekend.
Watch Leonardtown, a most convenient place. A new program exclusively on MetroCast Channel 10, brought to you by Dan Burris's Old Town Insurance.
You're watching GAB with Alisa Profiles. I'm Alisa Costas. Thanks so much for joining me as we talk to Dawn Campbell, a very familiar face on MetroCast Channel 10. Dawn hosts Be Your Best. And it's funny because Be Your Best is the name of your show, but I would say that Be Your Best is almost a life motto that you have for everybody around you. One of the things that you do that is not affiliated with Channel 10, it's just affiliated with who you are, is you do clothing drives and you do image seminars, I guess, is that the right way to say, to teach women and young girls how to dress. So let's talk a little bit about that. Clothing drives, what you've done, what you're planning to do, and some of the image seminars, what goes through your mind and what you do to try to help women and girls in our community.
Well, one of the things through the years, and again, kind of going back to what we were talking about when I struck out on my own and went to work with this really great company. When you're young, you don't really have a lot of money to find good clothing, nice clothing, but it is out there. So I wanted to be able to bring nice clothing to people in general, so they wouldn't have to go spend so much to look nice and look appropriate in the workplace. I started the clothing drives some years back and was looking for a way to bring that clothing to people. So I guess let me rewind a little bit.
Okay.
I originally started, I was asked to come do an image seminar for a group of people at a realtor's office. And it is so important in sales that we make sure we present a positive image and a professional image. There's a lot that goes into that, but from that fed a lot of other things. Then people started seeing that, oh, this is a great program that teaches people things that aren't taught in school, and isn't intuitive to people in general. So from there were some other places that I could go to do things. I've worked within the middle schools. I did actually do a program a little while back for the Maryland State Bar Association, who I think this is a wonderful program. They do a program for young people, and I was asked to come speak to a group of young people that are getting ready to strike out on their own. I've worked with the homeless shelters in the area, some job placement services with at-risk women to help provide clothing for them.
Wow.
The clothing drives come with basically one really large email and a few phone calls where I reach out to my community of people that I know and people that they know who have I like to call them gently loved professional clothing. You know, we all have those clothes that are in the back of our closet. Maybe they don't fit, or maybe we've been wearing them for a while, but they're still great condition, and someone else could really benefit from them. So I collect them all and then contact the organizations that I work with and have everyone come together, or I just load them up in my vehicle with my clothing racks. I go do a really quick image seminar that talks about professional dressing in the workplace, and then I fit each of the people with something they can use for an interview, and then anything that they have that's on the racks that fits them that they can take, so that once they get the job, they have clothing to wear.
So you collect all of this clothing, and then you actually help them figure out what to wear. You fit them. You don't just say, come in and say, here's a free clothing, have a nice day. You actually, wow.
Well, I think it's really important, again, because we're not born maybe knowing. And one of the things I like to say, I hope it's appropriate for me to say, we're all born naked. So, so you know, it's not something we're all born with to know exactly. And I know I certainly, again, had those struggles as a young adult, not understanding what was appropriate in certain work settings. So if I can impart that wisdom and also give them the clothing, so now they've got the theory and now they've got the practice, and they can take that with them. And who knows where that person's going to go?
Sure, sure.
You give someone something that they can use to build on, and then they're going to take it from there.
Hey, Francis, who knows where somebody that you're going to be nice to is going to go? Let me put you on the spot really quickly. You've got a clothing drive coming up this fall, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But if a young person is watching this show and they're getting ready to get out of high school or community college or whatever, and they want to go into the workforce, but they don't have a lot of money, so their options are really limited. Let's talk specifically to girls, to young women.
Okay.
If you were to tell them 3 pieces of clothing, go and get these 3 pieces, use them for your job interviews, what 3 pieces would you say are appropriate for all kinds of job interviews and they can get a lot of mileage out of?
The first thing would be black slacks.
Okay.
So black slacks are so important and should be a part of everyone's wardrobe who is in the workplace or looking for work. A pair of black slacks, make sure they fit properly around the waist, that they're not too snug, and that they fit appropriately at the bottom. The length is not dragging the floor or too short. The next would be a jacket of some sort.
Really? Okay.
Especially if you're going to apply for a position in a corporate setting, it really is important to wear a nice jacket, and you want them to at least go with the black slacks.
Okay.
And then another thing would be a nice blouse, for women especially. One that is a neutral color or one that looks very good with their skin tone, that's not too flashy, too bright, but goes well with the outfit. And that can be a standard uniform that they would wear to go on a job hunt. And then, of course, those separate pieces can be mixed with other things later, and they can wear them again.
But those are a good base building
Those are a
block.
good base.
Okay,
Yes.
That's the practice. So again, let me put you on the spot again. Really quickly, buying pants that fit, that makes perfect sense, and that's pretty simple. Yep, they don't drag the ground. Yep, they look fairly decent back there. They're not too tight. A jacket. How does a woman buy a jacket that she's going to need, a young woman, for a long period of time? What are some quick things when she's in the dressing room saying, that you should look for?
Okay, neutral color, really important, because the neutral color is going to give you more options to wear it with a lot of different outfits. Neutral color being navy blue, charcoal gray, black. Stay away from reds and pinks and yellows and things that are really bright. You really don't want to walk into a corporate setting interview with something that's really bright.
Okay.
And make sure that it fits properly in all of the areas, that the arms are not too tight, making sure that the shoulders, the shoulder pads are almost always in jackets. You want to keep them in there.
Okay.
It helps you to look more assertive, and actually can help to make you look a little thinner if that's something you're worried about. But jacket, shoulders, length of the sleeves, make sure they're not too long. You always want to make sure the clothing that you're wearing looks like it's yours, and then you're not wearing the big sister's jacket that she handed down.
Right.
So proper fit there, around the waistline, around the bust line as well.
I love that. One of my favorite things to do is to talk to people who love what they do and they know what they're talking about. And I'm a big person on body language, and I love how I say, Dawn, what are 3 things and how do you? And Dawn says, and she tells you. And I love that about you, because when people are asking for help or they're looking for someone to emulate, they want somebody who knows their stuff. Clearly you know your stuff. And there's a lot of reasons why you do. You're all about image. You're all about taking care of yourself inside and out. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a clothing drive that you're planning for the fall. We're going to talk about a couple of hard moments in the last couple of years that you have used as stepping stones to propel you into this new phase of fitness in your life. And we're going to encourage you, if you're watching, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are, there is a way that you can be the very best you. You are enough. So we're going to do that in just a moment as we continue to profile Dawn Campbell. I'm Elisa Casas. You're watching GAB with Elisa. We'll be back in just a moment.
Being your best is all about how you feel inside and out. If you feel good, you look good. Hi, I'm Dawn Campbell. Join me on MetroCast Channel 10 for Be Your Best. I'll show you creative ways to dress for success, give you quick health and fitness tips, and daily ideas for living the life you were meant to live. Be Your Best airs weekdays exclusively on MetroCast Channel 10 and is brought to you by Fitz Auto Mall.
Hi, this is James Laporte. Do you know what St. Mary's County is buzzing about? If you don't, then tune into MetroCast Channel 10 to find out. The Buzz is a weekly entertainment program featuring artists, performers, and entertainers from the area. Find out where the hot spots for entertainment are this weekend. We've got the scoop on all the fun each week on The Buzz. The Buzz is brought to you on MetroCast Channel 10 by Birch Propane. Efficient, environmentally friendly propane. Call for details, 301-373-2131.
You're watching GAB with Alisa Profiles. I'm Alisa Casas. As we're profiling Dawn Campbell, who has done an amazing job within our community with women and with the young women, teaching them about image, how to be your best, as it were. Dawn, we were talking about the clothing drives that you've done in the past, where you have gathered up clothing from your wide variety of friends in the community to put together a wardrobe and a giveaway for young women of professional attire. You're planning another one for this fall and hoping to really build that into something big in the community.
Yes, I'm thinking probably fall time frame is really good,
right,
because what happens is that we tend to go through our closets in the fall and we start purging things.
Sure.
So even though those items aren't something that we might love and want to continue wearing, someone else in the community can wear them and make good use of them. So be on the lookout for an announcement, and I'll probably hope that MetroCast Channel 10 will help me put the word out to start collecting those clothes and start coordinating with some of the area organizations for women who are in need of this sort of thing. So it is coming.
Great. We'll look forward to telling people about that. Now, I want to take just a moment and talk about where you are going. You're hoping to put together a nonprofit. You're hoping to get some certifications. You're hoping to do some things, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to tell, kind of open the door, if you will, into some personal things with you. The last couple of years, you had some pretty scary, intense things happen in your family, in your life, and going through them and getting through them propelled you into the next stage of taking care of yourself and in turn sharing that with the community. So let's talk a little bit about all of those things.
Okay. Wow. So a few years ago, I found myself very overweight. So for someone who's 4'10", we talked about that a little earlier, I think my weight should probably be in about the area of 108, 112, depending on which scale you look at, but somewhere in that area. And I had blossomed to 160 plus pounds. I stopped counting at 161. I'm not going to claim it, but okay, yeah, it was higher than that. So I had a very dear friend, I'm going to call her my aunt, who passed away September a few years ago. I found myself a few months later in St. Mary's Hospital, in the hospital because they thought I was having a heart issue. And that was a little bit of a wake-up call for me. The following year, my mother had a heart attack.
Oh my.
My mother-in-law, 2 to 3 weeks later, also had a heart attack. They are both doing wonderfully now.
Good.
So that's a really good thing. But I think having watched all of that happen sort of made me step back a little bit and think about myself and my own health, and that I was kind of ignoring myself and putting myself on the back burner. And as women, especially, we sometimes do that, especially if we have a family, we have a career, we tend to do that. So that's kind of where I was. I finally, at one point, just decided I'd had enough. I was physically feeling not well, and decided to make some changes. So I contacted a friend who had given me some information on a program. I started the program, and it's been really wonderful. And now I just really feel like it's kind of my duty to help others do the same thing. So creating a whole person from the inside and on the outside and helping them to feel good.
Sure.
It's just amazing because I know what it's done for me, and I just want everybody to feel good.
And you know what, I want to take a minute because I want to talk about your journey, getting physically fit, getting the weight off, and getting to a place where you feel good and you are healthy by clinical medical standards. Yes. Some people that watch you regularly on Channel 10 saw your shows from a year or so ago when you were a little bit more overweight, and they see you now. And there is a perception, and I think that sometimes the media encourages this perception that it's fast. I went on this fabulous diet and I lost 45 pounds. and that's not true.
It is
you work out and you exercise and you run exercise classes, and you took the weight off in a very healthy, reasonable period of time, but it was a period of time, right?
It was a period of time. It was several months. So there's nothing out there that's a magic pill, and if someone tells you it's a magic pill, run. And it might be a magic pill for a couple of weeks, but what ends up happening if you don't change your life habits, if you don't start eating properly, if you don't start getting exercise, if you don't get the proper amount of rest, because it's not just about eating well and exercising, it's also about resting your body and allowing your body to get the rest it needs to make you the whole person all the way around. And there are so many other aspects, your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, which all comes together to make you that whole, healthy, good to be here person.
Sure. Is there a moment that you could look at and say, hey, oh my gosh, I feel so different today than I did then? Is there a poignant, because I know there was a poignant moment in you deciding to get better. Is there a moment you can look at and say, oh, yes?
I think Thanksgiving, when I had lost, so I started the program in September, my eating right and exercising and all that. And then by a couple months later, Thanksgiving, I think I'd lost about 15 pounds. And I was getting ready to put clothes on to, have dinner with the family. And something was too big that I went to put on. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's really paying off. And I did.
This is what I'd have thought.
I did. I kind of started to do that little funny dance in my mind, like, woohoo! And it was great. But just that, you know what, I can do it. And I can do it. And you can do it. And anybody can do it. You just have to be willing to kind of stick to a program or stick to what your goal is and what your focus is, and just work hard to get there. And nobody's perfect. I'm certainly not perfect, but knowing it's there, you can do it.
Do you get frustrated or discouraged?
Yes.
And what do you do?
Of course, because there were those times during this whole time that, sometimes the scale goes up and down. But realizing where I've come already and how far I've come, and knowing that I can still do those things that I was doing before, just got to jump back on the wagon and start doing it right again. And okay, do I get a cheat meal once in a while? Yeah, maybe I didn't go work out for a couple days straight because I let some of those old excuses start coming back in, and I got this to do instead, and not letting those get in the way. Just knowing that you can jump back on and do it again. But looking at where I've been and saying, I feel so much better now, and I just feel good, and I want to keep feeling good. It's kind of the drive.
I love that, and the thing that I love even more, which is what draws me to you and to the things that you do, is that, yes, I'm going to do this for myself. Oh, and then I'm going to share. I'm going to show you how I did it. Come with me. What do they say? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step?
Yes, it does. And it is that first step, and that first step is the hardest. And deciding that you're going to make a change and do some things. And you don't always stick with the 100%. Sometimes you fall off, like I said, you jump back on again. Sure. But yeah, take that first step. Don't be afraid to take that first step. And the big thing is reach out for help. There are people out there who have great information, who know about whatever it is you're trying to do. Maybe you're trying to lose some weight. Maybe you want to become a runner and start doing distance running marathons. Maybe you want to go bodybuilder, or maybe you just want to feel better inside.
Right.
There are people out there who are willing to help you, and don't be afraid to reach out to them and ask for help. And I'm huge on that, and it's really funny I'm hearing myself say that, because usually I'm the one who doesn't like to ask for help. But you know what? Yeah, ask for help, because that is when the winning happens. That is when all the goodness starts to happen. Find somebody that you respect and that is successful in what they do, and just ask. And
doesn't say that it came through magic or lickety-split quick.
There's no lickety-split quick.
And if you want somebody to walk with you and to help you, Dawn's a wonderful person, and she has great shoes. So when you walk with her, it just naturally looks good. Dawn, thank you so much for all that you do for our community. I'm the mom of 3 daughters, 2 of which are still young, and I like seeing other women who are strong and powerful and intelligent and kind and sharing and compassionate. I love that. And that, my dear, is who you are.
Thank you.
All right, Dawn Campbell, you can watch Be Your Best on MetroCast Channel 10. Continue to join in on her journey. And if you're looking for help, go get it. If it's not Dawn, get somebody else and walk with somebody else, because this trip through life is so much more fun when there's 2 or more together. That's going to do it for GAB with Alisa Profiles. We'll see you next time. I'm Alisa Cass.